So, I just came from a wedding gig. Now, I know most of the things on the Fiddle Jam Institute website are about jamming and blues and rock and roll, and a wedding gig is definitely usually not that. Although sometimes you have to play a pop tune or something that the bride and groom might have requested or something. So I thought I'd tell you a little about how it works. You could, of course, go out and pitch your own gigs, and of course, you can have a booking agent send you the gigs, which I do. I'm not aggressive enough with this kind of thing. I take a gig if it comes my way. So I have a couple booking agents for wedding type things that are in with the wedding planners and know, hey, we need musicians. They call them, and then they call somebody like me. The gig today was a trio. It was a flute, violin, and cello. Other gigs might be a string quartet. So what's it take to be prepared for that? Well, it takes excellent reading skills for one. There's no rehearsal. You might be able to meet a little bit early and kind of run through the songs real fast to see the beginnings and the tempos and that kind of stuff. If there is time in a quiet place, you can do that. But otherwise, it's professional level reading stuff. The booking agent today sent us an email with all the charts that the bride and groom wanted to have played, and we print them out at home and go there at the gig prepared. So if you practice them, that's up to you. I didn't practice them, to be honest. I just showed up because I'm a pretty decent reader because I learned the classical way and can read just about anything. I'm blessed that way. So that's what it takes, being a good reader. Now, if you go to music school, that's not a problem at all. And music and wedding gigs like this are staple, and if you're in a bigger city especially. Or maybe you could make it happen in a smaller city, like be the only person that does them, corner the market. But it takes being a good reader, and it might be if you arrange them in a notebook like this, and I print out the sheets. They're not super hard music usually. And if the booking agent is on top of it, they'll send you a sheet of what they'd like played in what order and when and for who, whether the bride's coming down the aisle, the parents, or the groomsmen come in, or the flower girl, or that kind of stuff. They tell you what they want played when. Often there's a wedding planner there. You kind of get friends with them early on, and they kind of help give you cues and give you thumbs up from the back of the church or something. They'll also have information about the location and the addresses and the phone numbers just in case, it's an emergency or something, your car breaks down, you can call somebody and say, I'm on my way. So that's what it takes to be a wedding person. Now, is there any jamming at weddings? Maybe. And if I'm doing it, maybe. Usually I play the first violin part if it's a string quartet thing, and I'm kind of that first violin person is kind of the leader. So there's this hierarchy that happens, and you pick this up instantly on the gig. Like, okay, who's the dominant personality? Who's in charge musically? Often the first violinist is. Today's gig, I said, I'm not in charge. I'm kind of enjoying this. I'm playing the second violin part, and the flautist played the first violin part. I was fine with that. And the booking agent assigned me to the second part because she knows that if anything needs to be filled in or improvised, I'm the guy. And exactly that happened in this wedding today. There was some dead air, and the ensemble didn't have another piece to play for that air. So I said, I got it, and played some just stuff. So what I do is, in those cases, I can improvise this all day. It's like improvise like a made-up hymn or something. I do a little theme. I include open strings, kind of fiddly stuff. And that's in the key of G. It's a 1 chord and a 5 chord. I might repeat it. Repeat it again. And what I just do, I noodled around on 3-chord stuff, kind of doing arpeggiated things. And if you don't know what arpeggios are, you can take the Music Mechanics 101 course I have on the site. But very simple stuff. That sounds kind of churchy. It's 3 chords. Most music, as I've stressed here on the site, is 3 chords. Mozart, a lot of things, especially early Baroque things, 3-chord stuff. Rock and roll, 3-chord stuff. Blues, 3-chord stuff. So if you know these things, you can also kind of fall into those things too if you become a good reader. Sometimes I'm called to do a solo violin thing, like the bride and groom might have the budget. So I'll just go in there and I'll do that kind of stuff in a nice reverby church. It sounds beautiful. I'm filling in, kind of making stuff up, just making the vibe okay. They might say, I want this song when I come down the aisle. Okay, so you learn one song, and you play that song when you come down. It's just solo violin. You fill in, you put it in a key where you can put some open strings, maybe kind of accompany yourself. That's the way these things work, and hopefully you get a check in the mail after you've done it. You check them and say, did it, done it, everything went fine. There's a few booking agents like the Babik bass player, Kevin O'Brien. Hey, Kevin, up in Buffalo. That Babik was the Gypsy Jazz group I play with. He was a booking agent. That was his job, besides being in the band. And now there's a guy who is super organized. It's not so common that the agents are as organized as him. He would hand you a book. He has the book for every one of his musicians. Here's the first violin book. Here's the second violin book. I'm going to call you. He'll send you the information. He'll send you a map, how to get there. He'll send you the check ahead of time and say, play these songs. These are the extra songs they need. He'll send you, he prints them out and mails them to you. So there are some agents that are really super organized like that, and I love that. It makes it super as easy as possible to be professional. Others not quite as much, but that's what happens in a gig. And I've often talked about these things as far as career moves. If you don't know how to jam, and you're only a classically trained player that can only play off the page with what's written in front of you, these kind of wedding gigs might be the only thing you have if you don't get that symphony job. And the symphony jobs are hard to get. It doesn't have anything to do with skill, unfortunately. It's not even fair. As I've said many times in many talks at colleges and schools, if you only know classical and only know how to read, and you go to school and get really good at it, become an expert reader, what do you do when you're out of college? Well, you try and get a symphony gig. And the facts are that if only time jobs ever open up in the symphony is if somebody dies, usually. So that was one guy dies in the symphony. Okay, they put an ad in the trades, as they call it, and a person will, everybody in the world can read that and go, I want to audition for that job. They'll fly to that city. Sometimes 800 people will come, the best of the best, to fly and audition for that one job. You know that makes 799 people and unemployed still, right? Only one person is going to get the job. And here's the crappy part. It's not always even the best person who gets the job. They audition everybody. Everybody pays money to go there and fly and get hotels and stuff, and nervous and plays, prepares. And then they go, everybody was so good. Why don't we just pick Joe? He subs for us when we need extra players here in town. He's fine. It's not fair. So that's the reality of the classical world. So if you don't get that one symphony job and you're one of the 799 people that are unemployed still, then what do you do? Well, if you only know how to read, these kind of wedding gigs, there might be all you got. Maybe playing in a church. Some of the hip churches these days are a little more organized, and some of them have, the big churches actually have a little orchestra and stuff. It's possible, but it's still not really enough to live on. You can do a wedding. If you're in a big town, you might be able to do a couple weddings a weekend, make $100 or a couple $100 a pop. Still not a great living. It's supplementary for me. I'll do it because they call. It's not something I pursue. But that's the realities. If you know how to jam, though, it opens up all these more opportunities. It opens up jazz gigs, blues gigs, rock and roll gigs, country gigs. If you know how to do some fiddle tunes, you can play a bluegrass gig. If you know how to jam, you can fit in with just about anybody and make some money. And if you're good and open to it, you can even jam in the classical realm a little bit and still make money and fill in and not have to know a million songs. So that's my rant on wedding gigs today. That's how it works. And let me know if you have questions. Hope it helps.